Now you're in prison. How would you say that your behavior has been since you've been in that facility?
Oh my God, like my prison, it's been hard. It hasn't been easy for me being in prison. It's been a rough experience.
So in this video, we're going to react to the Connecticut parole board. He shot somebody in front of his house when he was young. I think he was like 17, and he got sentenced to a whole lot of decades. So now he's trying to get out. So in order to get out, you got to see the parole board. The parole board got standards. They have rules. You know, you have to go through programs. You can't get tickets. And tickets are basically like write-ups. You know, like if you're in school and the principal writes you up, that's a ticket in prison. And this is a good video. Like, subscribe, and comment below. Let's get to it.
And the reason why I'm asking is because I know I heard you talk about the 16 disciplinary infractions in your opening statement, and you even said, I'm not going to ask you all to ignore the fact that I received 16 disciplinary infractions for being non-compliant.
Yes, ma'am.
What's concerning about your 16 disciplinary infractions, Mr. Sullivan, is that of those 16, you have 7 that display violence. 2 of
Yes.
which
He has 16 infractions, 16 times that he caused some type of disturbance in the jail. So basically, he got 16 write-ups. Out of those 16, they're not, you know, like petty things like, oh, you push an inmate, or you spit on an inmate, or, you know, you cursed at an inmate. He has not 1, not 2, but 7 violent
were for assault.
write-ups.
One of them
And
resulting in
that
an
makes
outside
a
charge, and then
difference.
you had 5 tickets for fighting.
Yes, ma'am.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Prison Audio. My name is Mike, and in this video, we're taking a look at another parole board hearing. This time, we're in the state of Connecticut. This happened on January the 3rd of 2024, and this is a case of Jamar Sullivan. He is inmate number 296869. All right, guys, so just a case where back in the early 2000s, Mr. Sullivan was involved in an altercation. Basically, he got into an argument with a guy who had accused him of stealing money from him, and the guy ended up getting shot and died. So that is what happened to get Mr. Sullivan into prison in the first place. It's been about 20 years since he's been in, and now he's up for parole. So we're going to see what kind of questions the parole board has for him today. We're going to see what kind of programs and stuff he's been involved in since he's been in prison, and ultimately, we're going to find out whether or not the state of Connecticut decides to release him on parole.
Good afternoon. My name is Parole Officer Meyerson. Today is Friday, January 3rd, 2025. This is the Public Act 23-169 hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. For the record, Mr. Sullivan, the state of Connecticut passed and made effective October 1st of 2023, Public Act 23-169, concerning parole eligibility for an individual serving a lengthy sentence for a crime committed before the individual reached the age of 21 and criminal history record erasure. You fall under this act, and this means that you were under the age of 21. The board shall give great weight to the diminished culpabilities of juveniles as compared to adults, the hallmark features of youth, and any subsequent growth and maturity that you displayed while we're reviewing you for suitability today. The following board members are present this afternoon, and by stating their names on the record, certified they've reviewed all statutorily required documents in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Zaccanini.
Good afternoon, Michael.
Good afternoon, panel member Barry.
Also in attendance this afternoon, we have Attorney Marisa Hom. Attorney Hom, if you can please state your name, your number, and business address for the record.
Yes. Good afternoon, Attorney Marisa Hom. I'm with the law firm of Brown and Patterson, and our office is at 1233 Silestine Highway in Wethersfield, Connecticut. And my juris number is 426582.
Thank you.
Now, you see how many members are on the board. They have the victims there to speak out. They got 3 to 4 board members. Those are the ones who make the actual decision. Then they have his lawyer. Then they have the prosecutor there. The parole board is a serious event. It's not just you come in, hey, how you doing? What you do? You change his life? Okay, all right. Okay, we'll let you out free. It's a very strict. You see these inmates, it don't matter what crime they committed. They come in like church girls. They come in like church girls. Like they come in like they never even like jaywalked. But the parole board, most of the time, sees right through them.
Also present this afternoon, we have State's Attorney Jonathan Formicella. Attorney Formicella, if you can also please state your name, juris number, and business address for the record.
Jonathan Formicella, Assistant State's Attorney for the Judicial District of Bridgeport, 1061 Main Street, Bridgeport, Connecticut, juris number 444343.
Thank you. Also present this afternoon, we have Office of Victim Services, Ms. Vasquez. Mr. Sullivan, can you please state your name and inmate number for the record?
My name is Jamar Sullivan. My inmate number is 296869.
Thank you.
Slavery. When you free, we slaves. Even when you free. That Social Security binds us. That Social Security number is that's like your chains around your wrist. This guy, you see the number he spit out? When you leave the free world and you enter the slavery world, you get a new number. Because now you no longer get a free slave number. You get a real slave number because now you locked up. Now you real property. You really become property of the state. You really become the property. Look at him looking all stupid.
This is a public hearing in accordance with Chapter 14, Freedom of Information Act, Connecticut General Statute 1-200, which applies to this procedure. Mr. Sullivan, if you have any questions concerning the above, please bring your questions to the attention of the panel at this time. Again, this is a public hearing. Mr. Sullivan, do you have any questions, and are you willing to proceed?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. As previously stated, this is a Public Act 23-169 hearing that's being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Jamar Sullivan, inmate number 296869. Mr. Sullivan is serving a sentence of 28 years flat with no probation to follow for manslaughter in the first degree, firearm, and assault third. There is
28 years flat they gave him for manslaughter. 28 years flat. That means his crime was horrific. Because for them to not even give you parole, like, okay, give you like a, 10 to 20. You know what I mean? Or like that, they just gave him 28 flat. That's why he in there. Look at him. He in there sweating. Look at his armpits. Look at his armpits. Look at, he just sweating underneath that slave uniform.
Victim input in this case. There is also an offender accountability plan in place that has been reviewed and shows that he has completed the following programs, which includes interactive skill building, administrative segregation programming, passive recreation, anger management, alternatives to violence, good intentions, bad choices, voices, thresholds, tier 4, and intensive aftercare. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation.
You see his face? You see his face? He looking like, dang, I didn't do none of that. Oh, man. I hope they still let me out, though.
System, the offender's overall score on the RT falls within the moderate range risk for recidivism. Mr. Sullivan, this is now your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole, and you may begin.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I am extremely apologetic for my actions. I knew Mr. Benton and his family, which make my remorse and regret even deeper. The words Mr. Benton's family said at the sentencing, the look on their faces, and the pain in their voices have stayed with me. They didn't deserve to have someone they love taken from them in the tragic way that they had to endure.
And he read like a third grader. Oh, Lord, this is going to be a long video. I'm sorry, y'all. Please, I apologize. Please continue to watch and like and subscribe. Please. I apologize. I know this is going to be a long. He reading like a third grader. I had no idea he was. Dang, man. That's the problem. Lack of education. That's why these guys in the situation they in. They don't educate their mind.
Sorry for the opportunities I stole from them when I regretfully took his life. They may never forgive me, and I understand and respect that. I wholeheartedly apologize to them, even if they don't see me as worthy of their forgiveness. I pray and they forgive me for their own sakes. I hope they can in some way be unburdened from the life-changing trauma I am responsible for creating. I am sorry. If I could rewind time and take back the harm I have done, I would. I was an 18-year-old boy when I committed this crime. I had barely lived but at this young age, I took a life. That day plays back in my head over and over again. There have been times, especially early in my incarceration, that I hated myself for what I have done. I constantly ask myself how I got to that place at such a young age, so early in life. Until I was 10 years old, my life was normal. I loved school, engaging in the process of learning.
I know how. I know exactly how his life got that way. Single parent home. Single parent home. How much y'all want to bet? He came from a single parent home. He even read like a slave, don't he? He read like a slave. He read like he from 1920. He fit. I don't, why you want to become free? To come out here with us? You want to come back outside with us? We rather you stay in there.
My family was heavily involved in the church. We were constantly there for worship services, birthdays, weddings, holidays. Chaos struck in what felt like overnight. By the time I was 11 years old, my mother was addicted to crack cocaine. Once that happened, my security, safety, and sense of normalcy disappeared. I never really recovered from that trauma until years into my incarceration. In the summer of 1997, when I was 12, my mother went to rehab. My brother and I went to live with my grandmother, who at the time was a Bridgeport police officer. The absence of my mother was a struggle for me. The whole process of moving.
What I told you, single parent home. And then his mother became a crackhead. Then he had to go live with his grandmother. Still no excuse. Still no excuse. In life, we all have to make a choice. The things that I did in my life, I don't blame nobody. I blame myself. I blame myself.
And having questions no one could answer put me in a constant state of stress. I did not know how to cope with the uncertainty or pain. I was too young to understand how to process my emotions in a healthy way. My father had 11 other children, and my grandmother's house was always full. I had good times, but I also went through anguish. There were times where, even in a full house, I felt alone and abandoned. My grandmother tried her best to keep the family unit intact, but my 11 other siblings, plus my 4 brothers and myself, left her extremely overwhelmed. Eventually, I was placed in foster care. I was once again left feeling lost, confused, and disconnected from family. I began to question my self-worth. I was depressed and helpless. I went from
Oh gosh, blah 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 blah. You know what he gonna say next? I was in foster care and somebody touched my butt. And ever since then, I just been a bad boy. I'm sorry. Please, I just want to come out and be free again. No, stay in there. Stay in there. It's nice in there. Look at that. Oh, look at that beautiful white brick wall. Oh my gosh. Look at the color scheme. Oh, I love it. It looks so nice in there. I love it. I'm gonna come visit you one day. Psych.
feeling loved and being connected to my family before my mother addiction to feeling useless and broken. My mother completed rehab and got my siblings and I out of foster care. We moved to East Hartford where we had no family. I had unanswered questions and unresolved wounds and no ability to respond to my trauma in a productive way. I also felt that I did not have the kind of support system I desperately needed. Unfortunately, like many young people who experience instability within their families, I look for connections in unhealthy ways. I tried to find healing in the midst of other broken youth. I started self-medicating with marijuana at 12, and by the age of 14, I was addicted to PCP. My pain and addictions were so deep and significant, I began to lash out and rebel. At 14, I left my mother's home and went down the path of destruction. Once I left my mother's home, I started fighting, selling drugs, having sex, and hanging out with older kids. I was spinning out of control more and more every day. I was lost and convinced that the lifestyle I was engaged in was normal. I was around other people who lived that way, so I felt like for us, that was all life would ever be. I never imagined how dark things would get. I was unaware how my choices impacted other people. I realized how much damage I caused and how misguided I was. I remember I have remorse for the choices I've made. I am sorry for being a hurt person that hurt people. I take full responsibility for my actions, and I regret that I could not navigate my pain without harming others. As someone who is more mature in a season of evolution, I realize self-love is the key that opens the door to change. Anyone who loves themselves could never take a life.
Hey, gangster, don't cry now. Don't cry now. You busted them guns, right? You clacking, blacking. Don't cry. Do your time, homie. Now you wanna be all proper and hey, sir, no, sir. Hey, how you doing, sir? Slave. You even read like a slave. Stay in there, slave. We don't want you out here. Stay. Lunchtime, they're giving Jello out. They'll give you the red one.
When we value our own lives in a truly meaningful way, we cherish life, period, and respect the lives of those around us. During my 21 years of incarceration, I can admit I have made poor decisions. I own every single one of them, but more importantly, I have learned from every single one of them. I have a sincere desire to grow through the situations I've been through. My progress has been a process, and I am the first to confess the journey has had its bumps. These potholes on my road to rehabilitation are not indicative of a lack of remorse. I am truly sorry for the harm I have caused Mr. Benton's family. I don't expect the board to overlook the fact I have 16 tickets, nor am I asking you to. I am asking that you view me with a wide lens and consider all of me and not just the worst of me. I have fallen short of my own standards more than once. I have never stopped trying to better myself. I constantly take programs, reflect, and set new goals and take accountability. I to create relationships that may lead to employment as a CNA. Tracy Bernardi, a re-entry specialist, has also expressed a willingness to help me establish firm footing if I am released. I am also in communication with Just Live LLC, an organization that emphasizes therapeutic outreach services. If I am granted parole, I plan on getting my CNA license reinstated and taking a phlebotomy training course at Valley Medical. I can get my CNA license reinstated at Capital Community College, Manchester Community College, Gateway, and Lord Chamberlain's Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. On 9/26/2024, I was placed on the waiting list for Vocational Village. I believe in obtaining any and all skills that will lead to success. I am passionate about the medical field and substance abuse recovery. I am aware that the ability to pivot is valuable.
I will give him this though. At least he's trying to do a career and go a path that is needed, which is a CNA. CNA in a nursing home, CNA in a hospital, CNA anywhere. Even CNA in somebody's basement in Russia is needed. There's a CNA needed everywhere. So I will give him that. He's going the smart route because he knows that the board and stuff like this.
I want to put as many tools on my tool belt as possible. I signed up for Vocational Village so I can have more options, more skills, and open the doors to opportunity, even if other doors close. I believe those who failed to plan to fail. I have a backup plan if I need one. I have a solid support system for when I go home. I plan on working with a C-card recovery coach. I also have family members with strong community ties. My friends, family, and network believe in me and are willing to help me navigate my life in the best way possible. I plan to reach out to mental health and addiction resources in the community. I have made contacts with multiple organizations that help the formerly incarcerated. I believe I can have unlimited success outside of prison. Prison is not always the most positive place and presents unique challenges. I have grown and improved tremendously. I have prepared.
Yo, look at the lawyer. The lawyer looking at him like, yo, are you done? Are you done yet? I got to do my hair. I got to get my nails. I got to pick the kids up at 4. They're just going to deny you anyway. You did the crime. Do your time. Come on. Hurry it up.
Prepared myself for post-incarcerated living. In closing, I would like to apologize again for the harm I have caused. Not a single day goes by that I don't regret the crime I committed. I am sorry for all the suffering I inflicted with my trustable. I am sorry for who I was then and hope you see who I am today. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Mr. Sullivan, thank you for your statement. This panel has reviewed your information extensively to include the police report, the PSI that outlines your history, your childhood, the court transcripts, as well as your institutional reports, from disciplinary reports to evaluations from programming and such, with the decision information summary from the parole officer. We're very well versed in your case. We do have some additional questions for you.
Yes,
when we're
ma'am.
done with our questions, we'll turn the hearing over to the Office of Victim Services for input from the victim's family. Then the state.
They got questions for him. Oh, Lord. He reads slow. He's going to answer the questions like a freaking turtle. Oh, my gosh. Can they go through this process any quicker? Any quicker? Look at the lawyer. Look at the lawyer. Look at the bags under her eyes. We are both tired. We're both tired. How is he going to answer the questions appropriately and effectively when he reads like a third grader? How?
State's attorney will have the opportunity to speak, as well as your attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We'll begin with my colleague, Ms. Berry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Sullivan, I appreciate that opening statement and the time that you took to prepare that. You did a great job delivering it, and I'm glad that you have taken this period of incarceration to work on yourself and try to gain a better understanding of your.
He did a good job delivering it. Come on. Be serious. You see how when you enter slavery and you become lesser than everybody else, you get spoken to like a 7-year-old. But you did good, Johnny. You pronounced the sentences just right. Remember, one syllable at a time.
Behaviors and why you behaved in such a manner. This case is very, very serious in that a person died. I heard you express remorse for that decision and for your actions. Let's talk a little bit about the offense. Our records indicate that you had an argument with this victim at some point.
I had this argument with him prior to the event that took place.
Once you try a comfort hoodie, you can't go back to regular hoodies. They're slightly weighted, super oversized. It's that perfect fit that makes you feel like you're wrapped in a blanket. But
Okay. And so the argument was about money?
Yes, ma'am.
And supposedly you stole money from someone, or there was money missing, or
No, I was in Hartford, Connecticut, and I ended up going to Bridgeport, Connecticut for the summer.
Yeah.
And when I went there, I was approached by one of my cousins, and my cousin brought me to Mr. Benson's sister house, Monique Benson, and I was in the living room, and she was upstairs with my cousin. I was in their house for like 20 minutes. I got tired of waiting for my cousin to come downstairs, and I left out the house. When I left out the house, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, my other cousin came and got me and told me that a guy wanted to speak to me in building 12. So I went to building 12, and Mr. Bennett, he asked me, he said, "You was in my sister's house?" I said, "Yes." He was like, "I'm missing money out of my pants. Did you take it?" I told Mr. Bennett, I said, "I didn't take your money out your pants." And he was like, "You sure you didn't take my money out my pants?" I said, "I'm positive I didn't take your money out your pants." And he was like, "All right." Like, and that was the gist of that conversation with him.
But this happened on another day.
Yes, this happened. I was only in Bridgeport for 30, like a month. So this happened
Okay, so let's fast forward. So now,
Okay, the board is not stupid. You see, now she's going to dig into him. She's going to dig into the aspects of the case. She's going to dig into what really happened to Mr. Bennett. What was the argument about? Why did you shoot him? What was the reason? What did you even have a reason? What was your mental status at the time? She's going to dig into everything. That's why she's coming at him like this. And it seems like the way he's telling the story, he's putting on this innocent voice and making himself sound innocent. You know, when a child does, when you ask a child, "Did you take those cookies off the shelf?" And they come up with a whole long story, and every bit of the story, they're the innocent one. "Oh, the cookies. I came down and the cookies was right at the counter, but I didn't touch it." "So you didn't open the lid?" "I opened it a little bit, but it dropped. And when it dropped, I had to throw one cookie in the garbage because it fell on the floor." Knowing that you ate the cookie. This is the type of liar he is. He's going to go and tell you a whole story to make himself sound innocent, but he's not.
you're back in Bridgeport,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
it's the day that this offense occurred.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you wind up coming in contact with this victim?
I went to PT Barnum. I was in my cousin's house.
Yeah.
Me and my older cousin, we got into an argument.
You and your older cousin. Who's that?
Yes, ma'am. He's deceased now, Robert Dobson.
Okay. So you got into an argument with Robert.
Yes,
and what
ma'am.
happened?
And I went around the corner, and I was walking up the drive, which they call it in PT.
Yep.
And on the corner, it was Mr. Benton and Tiffany Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got up to Mr. Benton, like before I got to him, I pulled the gun out from around the corner. I was arguing with my cousin, and I had.
You were going to shoot your cousin?
No, I wasn't going to shoot him. I pulled the gun out because I was scared of them. So I pulled the gun out, and I went around the corner. I put the gun in my pocket. I walked up the street. When he seen me with the gun already, he was already scared. So I bumped into him. We started tussling.
Why would he let you get that close?
Okay, story don't even make sense. You seen the man coming. You got the gun. That means you got the upper hand. Maybe you don't know he has the gun. But you say when he saw the gun, he was scared. So if he saw the gun and he was scared, why didn't you take out the gun? Why? Because if he's scared and you're scared, but you have a gun, why did you take out the gun? You already got the upper hand. Why? And if he was scared, how did he even get that close to you? How did y'all get close enough to even tussle? Because in the streets, when Somebody got a gun and the next person's scared. 9 times out of 10, that person's gonna run.
Close to him if you had a gun and he saw it.
He was just standing there at the corner. He never left the corner, man.
But how did you bump into him there?
Because he's standing on the corner, and I walked right into Mr. Benton right there. And
Okay.
me and him started tussling. And
Why? Why would you tussle? If you guys had already squashed your beef, I'm not understanding. Why would he be? He saw the gun, so that means the gun was out, right?
Yes, ma'am. The gun was out. And when I got up to him, when I got to Mr. Benton, the gun was in my waistband. We started wrestling.
So wait. So when you saw Mr. Benton, he was on the corner, and you were a distance away. You had the gun out. And then you walked. You put the gun back in your waist, and you walked towards the victim.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
When I walk up to Mr. Benton, we got into an argument again. And
okay, she's good. She's catching him in a lot of lies. Why would you have a gun out, walk up to somebody, and then put the gun up when you get close to the person, knowing that they just saw the gun and they could wrestle it out of you? No, this is a guy who was a bully in the streets. He was walking out, he saw him, he took out his gun, and he played the tough guy role. And he blasted him.
We started tussling on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And we both fell to the ground. The gun came out of my waistband, and it went off.
Oh, now you got close enough, y'all tussled, and you didn't shoot him. The gun just so happened to fall out your waistband and shoot him. But you didn't shoot him. What a story.
And that's when I realized he was shot. I got up.
What's the difference?
So I'm just curious to know, first of all, it's a very far-fetched story. And what's confusing to me about your description of what transpired is this all happened at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, ma'am.
You were already arguing with 2 different people at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Yes, I was.
I'm not. And so what was the purpose of your having the gun on you after the discussion with your cousin?
Well, I had a discussion with my cousin because I took some marijuana that I wasn't supposed to take from him. And when I came back to the neighborhood.
You see how every story he's like the main character? The first story, Mr. Bennett accused him of stealing something. He said, I didn't steal nothing, boss. This second story, now all of a sudden, his cousin accused him of stealing again. He's getting accused of stealing again. Marijuana. Now he has the innocent voice on now. My cousin told me, he came up to me and said, oh, did you steal it? I'm like, nah, I didn't steal no marijuana. He's always the one that's being accused of stealing, but he's always the innocent one at the same time.
They were mad that I took the marijuana.
Why were you taking stuff? I'm not. And so what was the purpose of your having the gun on you after the discussion with your cousin?
Well, I had a discussion with my cousin because I took some marijuana that I wasn't supposed to take from him. And when I came back to the neighborhood, they were mad that I took the marijuana.
Why were you taking stuff from people that were you just being a menace? That's a long story short?
Man, when I was younger, I was a terrible kid.
Okay.
I didn't have no direction. I didn't have nowhere to live. I was going from house to house.
Yeah.
I just was partaking in a lot of negative things that I shouldn't have been taking participation in.
So were you selling drugs in the community?
Yes, ma'am.
And so did you say that?
Now look at his face. Look at his face. Look at when he said, yes, ma'am. You don't see how the system broke him? You don't see how the system broke him? Look at him. The system turned him back into a 10-year-old. The system turned him back into I know he reads like a 30-year-old, but the system turned him back into a 10-year-old. It broke him. He's broken. He's broken.
Money and bought a gun?
I ended up just getting a gun from one of my friends.
Okay.
I
And
didn't
so
buy
have
that.
you ever used that gun or showed it to anybody else?
I had a gun and people knew I had a gun, but yeah, people knew I had a firearm. Yeah.
Okay. So that means, were you telling them or were you showing them that you had the firearm?
Well, yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Like I was telling people I had a firearm and showing them.
Okay.
Like when I was younger, we thought that was cool, like to have a gun and just ignorance.
Okay. So now let's go back. So you were tussling with him, the gun was in your waist, it fell out of your waist, and it shot this victim in the chest, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why then was the victim holding on to your leg and yelling that you shot him? Why, if it was an accident, why would he be yelling? And why didn't you stop to render aid?
I didn't stop to render aid. I was scared. I was trying to get out of there.
All right. And so
He got him. She got him. You walking around with a gun, you're making it seem like you didn't know you have a gun. And then you already said that people in the neighborhood knew you had a gun. So you was a gun dude. You was the bad dude in the neighborhood. You was the bad dude. He was the bad dude in the neighborhood. He was the dude in the neighborhood that everybody tried to stay away from because they know he was slow, had low IQ, and they already knew that he was going to result to nothing in life, like where he is now. He's in prison. They knew he was going to result into nothing. Why would a guy get shot, be on the ground, beg you, and then you don't do nothing, but you were scared? Why don't you stay at the scene? Because you have a legal gun. You was a gun dude. Don't cry now.
So, but I mean, you were caught almost immediately. I just can't believe
Yes,
that this
ma'am.
all happened at nine. I mean, yeah, you were up and at 'em at 9 o'clock, not going to school, not working, just being a menace in the community. So now let's fast forward. You accept responsibility for your actions. You say, I committed this offense. You're sentenced and all this stuff. Now you're in prison. How would you say that your behavior?
Oh my God, like my prison, it's been hard.
Mhm.
It hasn't been easy for me being in prison. It's been a rough experience.
Mhm. And the reason why I'm asking is because I know I heard you talk about the 16 disciplinary infractions in your opening statement, and you even said, I'm not going to ask you all to ignore the fact that I received 16 disciplinary infractions for being non-compliant.
Yes, ma'am.
What's concerning about your 16 disciplinary infractions, Mr. Sullivan, is that of those 16, you have 7 that display violence, 2 of
Yes, ma'am.
which were for assaults, one of them resulting in an outside charge, and then you had 5 tickets for fighting.
Yes, ma'am.
And so it shows a continuation of the behavior. Even up until 2022, you were threatening people. Can you explain? And I read your attorney submitted a tremendous amount of information, and I really do appreciate all her efforts. However, you in the explanation, it says you told this officer, you don't know me, get away from me before something happens to you. You say you were overwhelmed and you were emotional, but it also says that people had to hold you back from actually trying to get at this officer. Is that true?
Yes, it is true. When I was I got into a whole argument with this officer on August 26, 2022. I was in the day room. He came in there. It was guys gambling loud. He asked everybody to leave. I was leaving the day room. He stopped me. Me and him had words, and I went about it totally wrong.
Okay. I would agree that you went about it totally wrong. But the explanation again was you were waiting. It was almost the anniversary of your incident, and that you were waiting to hear from the sentence about your sentence modification, and also.
Okay, I see what happened here. He was sitting in prison. It was like his anniversary of his incident. This officer told him to do something. He was just pissed off because he'd been locked up for a year already. And he just he just went off. He just went off. He just got emotional and wasn't thinking. Like he just said, I just got emotional, which majority of the men that are in prison are emotional. The majority of the men that are in prison can't control the emotions. That's why they're in prison. They have a tough persona, but they can't control the emotions like a girl. They're more like a girl more than a man when you really think about it. A lot of them is raised single mothers, and it's supposed to make you stronger, like how we made people like me stronger, and and grow, and yes, boys like me, yes, we would have done way better if we had like an upstanding father and whatever, and blah blah blah. I get all that. I know all that. I got mature in life to understand that the psychologics of coming from a single parent home with a mother. I understand. But that's basically what happened with him. He was just emotional that day and said, "Yo, I'm gonna knock you out, officer."
Your commutation. And so you were on edge. Is that right? So
Yeah.
do you understand, Mr. Sullivan, that in life out here and anywhere, honestly, things can be very challenging. Life doesn't go the way that we plan. We celebrate anniversaries that we really don't want to. Some of them are good anniversaries, some of them are negative, but threatening other people and charging, what would have happened if those people weren't there to hold you back to that officer? Do you realize that you would have accumulated yet another disciplinary infraction for assault, and then you would have also received probably outside charges, just as you did with one of your assault tickets?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me how in that, from the time that you went into the prison, let's say 19 years you had already served. In 19 years, you say, I did all this change work, but then in 2022, you resort back to that same behavior. Explain to us how things could have been different. I'll say that.
Things could have been different if I continue to work on myself. Like from 2020 to 2022, I stopped working on myself. I wasn't really doing too many programs anymore. I wasn't really in communication with my family. I just was in jail, feeling like a loser. Friends, family, people getting married, going on about their lives, and I'm in prison.
What you said that in your opening statement too. That's the same. You hated yourself.
Yeah,
it's the same behavior though. It doesn't show very much change. Like aside from maturation, you're going down the same path. You're making those same poor decisions, and that is problematic for us.
I can appreciate the fact that you haven't had any disciplinary infractions in the past in almost 2 years now. The fact remains that the violence continued, even up to 21. You fought someone. It says you fought somebody over a seat. What happened? What happened with this outside charge where?
Okay, I see what she's getting at. This lady on a parole board, she basically denying him. If you understand her speech, she's already in nay of it. She's not letting this man out. He's committing felonies and crimes so recently. He'd been already locked up for 21 years. Look at this man. This is a young man. He'd been locked up in slavery for 21 years, and he still can control his behavior. He's still fighting people over a seat, something that kids in middle school fight over. He's still arguing with people who are supposed to keep him in control, people who are adults just like him. But when you enter these prisons and your mind is already in prison, you got that liberal belief and loud and do whatever you want, and it's chaos and he, she, and it and all type of stuff. This is what happens.
You beat up this other inmate.
At that time, I was in Corrigan Correctional Institution. I was in Corrigan Correctional Institution for 5 years. I was in that prison for 5 years. I had no disciplinary infractions at all. I went to school to become a CNA. I was working as a CNA. I was basically a model inmate in that period of time. I was coming back from work. I entered my room. A man entered the room behind me, Ronnie Hinton, and he proceeded to ask me about rumors that was going on in the unit about him. I told him that I didn't have nothing to do with those rumors. And when I told him I didn't have nothing to do with those rumors and I wasn't going to relate to him who said them, because I didn't know who said them, period, he punched me in my face and he stabbed me.
And what did you do?
I fought him off.
And did he get charges for outside charges too?
Yes, he got charged for coming into my room with a knife and cutting me, and I got charged for fighting him off me. And they sent me to North.
What was his name?
What does
Ronnie
he say?
Hinton.
Ronnie Hinton, yeah.
Ronnie Hinton.
So why did I thought that I read that there were 3 of you involved in this and somebody held somebody back and
my cellie, I had a cellmate. I was in a room. Ronnie Hinton came in the room, stabbed me, and I was fighting him off. My cellie came in the room and helped me get him off of me. My cellie, Eric Gooden, he saved my life.
Oh, okay. So why did they charge you then? I'm just curious.
What year was that?
It was in 2011.
11.
Yeah, 2000. Yeah,
It was
6/14, 2011 is when this fight happened.
Yeah, he doesn't have any.
Yeah.
He didn't get any new charges.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. That's what I'm trying.
Look at his face. Look at his face. He just got caught in a lie. He just got caught in a lie. Look at him. Look at him. He's a liar. He's a liar. He's a thief. He's a killer. He's all of what makes a hood unsafe for kids. He is all of what people who working hard, trying to get out the hood, trying to get out this chaos, this slums. He's the people who holds people back because he's killing the community slowly. This guy just got caught. He's in prison trying to get out on parole and still lying. They checked his records. The guy who claimed that that stabbed him, he probably didn't even know they could check it that quick. The man has no records. So what really happened with the story? The parole board, they're gonna investigate it. The parole board, they're gonna investigate it.
Figure out how did this all transpire? It's too much, Mr. Sullivan. Like, I do appreciate the fact that you have really worked on yourself, but you clearly still have a lot more work to do. And then I'm just curious to know, what was the purpose of your requesting a sentence modification back in
Hello, Mark Barden here from Sandy Hook Promise. On December 14th, 2012, my son...
you asked for a commutation in 22. So when did you apply for a sentence modification?
Same time.
Around the same time.
In 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the premise of that request?
For a commutation?
For both. You said you did them at the same time. Did you think your sentence was... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was trying to get some relief from my sentence. They told me about the juvenile law and that I could place an application for commutation. And I placed the application for commutation.
Okay, so they told you that. But okay, so what was the sentence? You were trying to get the sentence mod to try to meet the criteria for the juvenile law earlier? Is that what, like, to have your date moved up to be eligible? I'm trying to understand. If you, Attorney Holm, if you would like to chime in, I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. So he initially applied for a sentence modification based on the relatively new change in the law, right? And he had an attorney to assist him with that. That required given his situation, that required the permission of the state's attorney. They did not agree, so the sentence modification did not move forward.
Okay.
Then around the same time, he had submitted a commutation packet. That packet went before the board. It was obviously very near the incident that he spoke of in 2022, and he was denied on the pre-screen. Shortly after that period in time, or around that period in time, I'm sorry, I probably could just look at my notes, but there was also discussion about this public act, and the juvenile parole being expanded to 18 to 20-year-olds. And there was also the practice in the public defender's office of doing motions to correct a sentence based on youth. So I think he was receiving some advice from the public defender's office around that. And there was a habeas filed, which was withdrawn.
Okay. And what information do you have about this outside charge, the assault?
Wait a minute. This prisoner just went through this not that long ago. The lawyer just said that he tried to get his time commuted, which is he tried to get his time that he got served by the judge knocked down. So if he got 40 years, he's trying to get it to 20 years because of a law change. When he committed this crime, he was a juvenile. He was like 17, pushing 18. So the laws has changed over the time. So he's trying to use that law to get out. But if you listen to what the lawyer said, he got denied 2 times because he keep creating infractions prior to trying to have a board vote for him to get out of prison.
Do you have any information about that?
About what information do I have?
Yes.
The assault that he received from the 2011 incident.
Okay.
I have the same information that he shared.
All right. So, Mr. Sullivan, now you're sitting before us and you're asking us to be paroled. What do you think the victim's family, the deceased victim's family, is going to say about your request here today?
That was going to get juicy. Now, this is part of the video where you got to get your popcorn and hold on to your seat. Because this is when the parole board, this is when it gets juicy. This is when the drama starts. When the family comes out and they start calling him, "You're a killer. You need to stay in jail." And they start getting at them. This is when the videos get juicy. Even me, I'm stick to the screen, but we're going to see what happens next. The family's going to come out and the family is basically going to say what's on their mind. And every time they say what's on their mind, they say what's on their mind. So let's get to it. Look at him sweating now. Look at him. He's like, oh gosh, I'm done.
And your prior request?
Oh no, they probably don't want me to be released. It's a hard situation, and I don't want people to think that I'm taking this hearing lightly, or I don't understand the pain that I caused. And it's hard. It's hard to sit here in front of you guys and ask to be released, and ask to be paroled when I'm in here for taking someone's life. It's hard to even put a number on someone's life. Like,
right.
What am I asking for? Am I saying like Mr. Benton's life was worth 20 years of me being in prison? And
you know what? We agree with you. We 100% agree with you. We think you should stay in there too. We agree. We agree that there's no number on taking somebody's life, especially when it's for no reason at all. So what are you even doing here? Why don't you get up, stick your chest up like a man, and walk out the door, tell everybody thank you for your time, and go back to your cell, you slave.
All should be done and over with. Like it's hard all around the board. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry for what I've done. I'm sorry for taking Mr. Bennett's life. He wasn't a bad person. He wasn't like a violent person. He was a good dude. Like, I talked to him, chat with him, so it's not easy. I'm not saying. When I was young, man, I was a messed up person. It was a lot going on in my life, things that I didn't even understand.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna sit here and say the victim of my crime was a nasty street person and he did deserve everything that happened to him because he wasn't like that. He was a kind dude. He was nice. He'll give you whatever you needed from him. He was a good person. And so I'm sorry for taking his life. Like, I can't bring him back. And I swear I didn't mean to take his, people that's from my area, they know I didn't mean to take Mr. Benton's life. I just was young and dumb and I shouldn't have had that gun. And he shouldn't have lost his life. Right. So for me to sit here and ask for relief to go home is like a double-edged sword. It's sad because I want to go home to my family. I've lost people too, and his family want him there with him. And I'm responsible for him not being there. So it's still like nobody wins. I still have to go home. I still have to live with the fact that I took someone's life, and I still got to figure out a way to make it right. If not in their eyes, just for like my own peace.
Yeah. But do you think that you have made it right with your behavior there in the facility? Do you think that you've proven that, you can go out into the community and remain at liberty without committing any new offenses based on how you behave there in the facility?
I believe I could go home and do the right thing. I haven't been sitting in here in prison just not doing anything with myself. I've had mishaps. I have arguments, disagreements. I've done things that I'm not proud of. Mm-hmm. From 2000.
Yeah, but what he's not understanding is the board wants to know. The board knows that in life, you're going to get all type of people to piss you off and force you to do the wrong things, make the wrong choices. You're going to try to go to the supermarket and park in a parking spot and somebody's going to cut you off. Do you just come out the car, cuss them out and beat them up and kill them? Or do you just shove it off? Because in society, we have to live amongst people. We're living amongst each other. Depending on where you live in New York City, you're living amongst millions of people. You live in Idaho, you're only living amongst a few. So you don't have that much people to piss you off. You just have to learn how to come out and live amongst people and make the right choices. And that's what the board wants to know.
In 6 to 2011, I had no tickets. I was working, doing everything right. Mr. Hinton came in my cell and tried to stab me. I fought to save my life. I never had no tickets with no officers. From 2011 up to 2016, I had no tickets. That was a 5-year span.
But then you went on to get another fighting ticket, then another assault. And I mean, it's just, you'll go without tickets for a little bit of time and then you incur new ones and then they're violent. And so us as a panel, as a board, looking at your file in terms of suitability to make sure we're gauging whether or not there is enough evidence to indicate to us that there is a significant amount of change.
Yes, ma'am.
And just in talking with you here today and listening to some of your rationale behind your decisions, it really does sound like you want to do better and you want to make better decisions, but you're really still learning how to hold back that violent side, that anger that you have. And that's not to negate the work that you have done, sir. I really do think that you are on the right path. I just think that there is more work to do. I don't think that you have fully proven to us here today that you're capable of being released and going out and making better decisions. That's what I'm saying. You have a sentence that will allow you to return to the community at some point. Your end of sentence date is 2030. I'm not saying that parole supervision wouldn't be beneficial to you. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying that you have not done enough work. For all the programs that you have taken, I would expect you to have come before us without having any tickets for at least 7 years. We've seen people here today who've had 65-year sentences and they've had 4 tickets. You've had 4 tickets in 40 years?
You're absolutely right. And there's people who has 188 tickets and things of that nature too.
Right.
So
and for those people with 100 tickets and 88 tickets, I'd be saying the same thing to them.
Yes, ma'am, respectfully. Every time I put myself in a bad situation, I always try to rectify my behavior.
Yeah.
Even last time when I got denied the commutation, I didn't. That situation with that CO, it shouldn't have happened. It messed me up. I never had a problem with staff. You don't do as many programs as I've done or worked as long as I worked in DOC having a nasty disposition with COs. You don't complete programs having a nasty disposition with the.
He's right about that, because if you have a nasty disposition with officers in the building, you need recommendation in order to join those type of programs. And who else gonna recommend you? Your family can't recommend you. They're not in prison with you. Your friends can't recommend you because they are also prisoners. So the only people that can recommend you to join these programs in order to get through things like the parole board are the CEOs.
Volunteers that come in here. So just my body of just doing my programming and stuff shows that I'm capable of working and conducting myself and dealing with the people that come in here to help me.
I think that that's true, Mr. Sullivan. I do think that you're capable. But I'm saying to you again, when you're down to the wire and you're forced to make those decisions, you still revert back to some of that old behavior. That's what I'm saying. Like, I know that it's you've been receptive to the programs and even, gained some tools. And I read about the coping skills that you've gained and the breathing techniques and listening to music. All those things are positive. I just wish that had you not received that 2022 ticket, I think that our discussion here would be a little different. But the fact is that the 16 overall and the 7 of them being of violence, it really does not, it's not a good look, I'll say.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Mr. Paul?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really, I listened to Mr. Sullivan's presentation, and I've heard the questions from Board Member Ferry. And what I'm grappling with, and I'm just trying to find I don't think there's any other questions that I can ask for clarification, but
he don't have no questions. This is the second juror, basically parole board representative, that he don't even have any questions for this man. He don't have no questions because what are you even doing here? Who told you to even come to parole? Who told this man to come to parole with 7 violent infractions? 7, and he has 16 of them within the last few years. And he's been in prison for 21 years. He has some as recent as 2 years ago. That's why this man here, he's tripping over his words because he's like, I don't even know what to say to this man. My colleague said enough. My colleague got down to it. My colleague investigated and got into his psyche, and he already been exposed. This man cannot come outside and live amongst regular citizens. You cannot, not everybody is meant to live in the free world. The same way as not every woman is meant to be a wife.
Supervision in community is important. But what I'm trying to get to today is that 23-169 asked me to be convinced that the likelihood of remaining at liberty without violating the law is, I'm struggling with that. Right. I'm struggling with that because of the ticket. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how else to get there. Right. I mean, it is what it is,
Yeah.
I just, there's a lot of positive work that Mr. Sullivan's done.
Yeah.
Just got a lot of letters submitted.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry.
I don't know if maybe the chair has questions that would help me to understand this a little better.
I mean, I share the same concerns. There's clearly some anger that needs to be addressed because when you have good relationships with the staff in the facility, you don't speak to them the way he did in the last threatening ticket. In the new assault charge that you picked up, what happened to Brian? What happened to him?
As far as where he's at today?
No, I know where he is today. What happened to him in that incident? Because he was in the hospital for 4 days, so something happened.
Yes, he was in the hospital for 4 days because I injured him.
What'd you do?
Fought him with my bare hands. He
Duh, we know that you we know that you injured him, you fool, because he been in the hospital for 3 days. We know that. We want to know what happened. The parole board representative want to know the details. She want to hear it from your mouth. She want to know, how did you get into an incident when somebody wanted to stab you? Somebody wanted to stab. That's a serious thing. Nobody just wakes up. I don't care where you are. I don't care what prison you in. The chances of you somebody just wake up and like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna go into this cell and I'm gonna just stab him for no reason at all. I'm not saying it don't happen. There's a lot of crazies out there. It happens in the free world. Of course, it's gonna happen in prison. Even in New York, there are people that get randomly just stabbed or punched or shot. Everywhere you go, any big city, get New York, they randomly just throw you on the train tracks. Things happen to people randomly in New York because there's so much people living on top of each other. And it's bad politics over there. But they want to know what happened. Don't get nervous now. Let's hear what he got to say.
Came to my room with a knife and stabbed me. He stabbed me.
Why is it that he didn't get any outside charges?
Because he went to trial. He got charged, and they charged all of us with the incident.
Okay.
He got charged, my cellie got charged, and they charged me and they put me in Northern. Ronnie Hinton went to trial and beat the case during trial with DOC. Okay. I just copped out. I just took the year. I didn't want to take it because
but anyhow, in any event, for someone to go to the hospital for 4 days implies some serious injuries. You get in a fist fight, you go to the emergency room, they bandage you up and they send you home.
Man, I was in a situation where I had to fight for my life. Right. This man.
You couldn't restrain him until the COs came?
No, I couldn't restrain him. He came in my cell with a knife and swung it on me. I got a 4-inch stab wound right here on my arm. He stabbed me on my bicep, and I had a stab wound in my face. I was literally fighting for my life.
And what was your cellie doing all that time?
My cellie.
He didn't even show any stab wounds. And where is the stab wound on his face? Is the medical care in the prison that good? I don't even see any marks on his face. He just showed his forearm of where he got stabbed. His lawyer is shaking her head. Oh, yeah, he got stabbed. He got brutally attacked. But where are these marks? And if you are truly the innocent one in this case, why didn't you fight the charge? Anybody that's innocent is not just going to say, oh, no, I just took the year, because something is off in the story. You was the bully before you got to prison. You bullied a man. You killed a man that wasn't even bothering you. The man was a working man, mind his own business, doing his thing. He just felt offended. Somebody was in his house and actually trying to steal his money in his house. You killed a man just bullying people. So what make the board think that the man didn't try to stab you? Because at one point in time, you probably bullied him at one point in time.
He came to the cell and ran in there and helped me because he already had me stabbing me up, and we fought him off us outside of our cell. And then the COs came and separated us. But even up into that,
what?
This report says he was airlifted to the hospital.
No, I know. He spent 4 days at the hospital, yeah. And I mean, 2 against 1, you guys couldn't hold him down?
No, he was, okay. My son got stabbed.
There you go right there. There you go right there. The man was airlifted to the hospital. He was airlifted out of a prison. They just don't take you to the hospital out of a prison for minor scrapes and bruises. They beat this man down. Him and his cellie beat him down. That's why that man said, you know what? I'm not going to take another charge because this guy bullied me. I went in there. I tried to get rid of his ass. And things went wrong, and him and his cellie beat me up. Or maybe the man didn't probably even have a knife. You can't listen to these slaves. I mean, you can't listen to these prisoners.
Stabbed too. Wow. He stabbed both of us in our cell. We didn't have a weapon.
Okay. All right. Okay, but I mean, even So we'll put that one aside because that was quite some time ago, even if it was a horrible fight and assault. That was some time ago, but the behaviors have continued. And what's interesting is you've done a lot of good things between all these fights. So I'm not sure, you know, you have taken a lot of good programs. I will say that many of the more important programs came this year when you knew you were coming before us for this hearing.
No,
So
I did.
if that's motivation to do good things, then that's great. I encourage that, of course, but go ahead.
May I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know I was coming. I had this hearing.
Yeah, you did.
At first. Yeah, but excuse me, can I?
You didn't know that you gonna have a parole hearing coming up? Come on, bro. Stop it. Come on, bro. Come on, man. You see these guys, they so immature. They like babies. Somebody has to tell them to do everything. Somebody has to, oh, nobody reminded me. Well, how about you remind yourself? How about you be an adult? If you can't be an adult in a prison, you've been in there for 21 years. Why? What's the point of coming out?
I have the letter that we sent you. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I understand. I got denied commutation and sentence modification. After I got denied commutation and sentence modification, I already was in the process talking to the counselors, trying to get into this program. The Tier 4 program, it was already a waiting list, so I had to wait. I got the paper about this hearing after I already got denied commutation and sentence modification.
Right.
I was already denied, and I was already transitioning to getting into these programs. And then I got this letter. I didn't have no knowledge that this was going to happen until I got the letter.
Yeah.
But I was already in process of taking these programs and doing these programs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well,
the parole board members like, yeah, sure, buddy. Yeah, we heard it before. You didn't know. Yeah, you didn't know. You didn't know that you have parole. You didn't know when you got sentenced. The judge said 10 to 20, which means you got parole in 10 years. You didn't know that. Okay, no problem.
Well, you know, it is unfortunate that while you're taking these programs, though, you're picking up these tickets. We, as my colleague stated, we would have to be absolutely certain that you are not a risk to the community for us to parole you. Do you understand? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
And with this type of behavior, how could I be certain? If we paroled you, you went out there and you hurt somebody, even in a fight, you know, you send somebody to the hospital. Well, how does that make us look?
Right.
You know? It's a dilemma. It really is. And I hope that this doesn't set you back and that you can continue to work on yourself. You do have 5 years to go. You're not earning any rec time, so you're there till 2030. But for me, I would need to see more, sir. I hope you understand that.
Damn. Look how that hit him. Look how that hit his soul when she said 2030. That's in 5 years. He has 5 years to go. So a lot of people got 50 years to go. He has 5 years to go, but prison broke him so bad. He feels like he's not going to make it through those 5 years. He feels like he's tired of acting good. You know when somebody is tired of acting good? Like, he's not a good person naturally. He's naturally a mean, bad person. He doesn't want to bully the crowd, and then when he get caught, he want to act like a baby and start crying. That's the single baby mama syndrome. He's a kid that's a victim of a single baby mama house. He's a victim of this.
You know, I don't want to take away from the good things that you've done, because you have done some good things. But there's a lot of violence in your disciplinary report history. Why did your CNA certification expire? You couldn't keep doing the work?
You got to work within 2 years of your license. And I was working at other facilities, but once I got to the different unit facilities, I wanted to do other things. So I started doing other programming and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. And you do have certificates for drug and alcohol treatment specialist and business management?
Yes, ma'am.
That's great. I hope those things are valuable for you when you're back out in the community. All right. I think, are we done with our questioning? I am. Thank you. Thank you. We do have victim input. I apologize. It's been a long day, Officer Management. At this time, we're going to turn the hearing over to the Office of Victim Services. I'll just ask Mr. Sullivan that you listen, but please don't interrupt at all. And they're going to address us at this time. So let's see. We have Mr. Jesus. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon, board members. I do have Mr. Benton's family members via Teams, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
This is your opportunity to express to the board your wishes and your concerns. I am to remind you that you are to address the panel members only, and you may begin.
Hi, my name is LaToya Benton. I'm Joseph's older sister. I sat here and I listened to everything that he had to say, and I listened to everything you guys have to say, and I appreciate you guys. This was a lot. My brother was 21 when he got murdered. A lot of stuff wasn't being truthful. Wasn't told that scenario when my brother was murdered. My brother was on his way to school. He signed up for CNA school. He had his uniform on and everything. So he's on his way to school. And the story about, we just bumped into each other, that's not.
Oh, dang. The boy was on his way to school. Dang, that kind of hit me hard because I went through a situation with somebody who something almost happened to them on the way to school. So that kind of hit me kind of hard, So forgive me for pausing and giving my input. Dang, man. That's what I'm saying, man. You got to get these guys out of society, man. You just have to. You can't propagate this liberal agenda and bail reform and let people that stab people and shoot people get out of prison, get out of jail on bail within 24 hours. You can't have a society like that. You're just going to create up a system of Gotham, like a Gotham City.
Not true. He ran around, he came to the corner with the gun out. So my brother started trying to save his own life because he had a gun out. And that's when my brother got shot in the chest. It was no gun in the waist. That's not the truth. He came there for a reason. This started a little while ago. My brother used to call me and tell me about this guy that used to bother him all the time. He used to bother my brother because my brother was like a big ladies man. Like a lot of girls like my brother.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was so nice, so cool. He had no beef or nothing with nobody. My brother never even had a fight. He used to call me. He'll call me. I lived in Maryland at the time. He'll call me. He'll go, Toya, this guy, he keeps bothering me. Da 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 da. So when I came down to visit one time, I confronted Mr. Sullivan. I walked up to him and I told him, "You better leave my brother alone. My brother doesn't bother anybody. That's my baby brother. And I look at him as like my kid because when I was younger, I took my brothers and sisters in, right? Mm-hmm. When my mother, she was on drugs and stuff, I took my brother and sister in. So I look at him as my son. I said, you better leave him alone. Out my face. He told me to get out his face or whatever. So he's been doing stuff to my brother. This is not just one-time thing. He's been, and even when Mr. Sullivan got sentenced.
So he was a bully. Why would the sister even lie? The man was a bully. He bullied. The boy went to his sister at 21 years old and told his older sister, like, yo, this dude keep bothering me, man. This dude is a ladies' man. Like, he good with the ladies. He's just doing his thing. It's the early 2000s. He's just doing his thing. Trying to go to school. He's trying to get out the neighborhood. He's trying to get himself a beautiful queen and get up out of there. Meanwhile, you got losers like this who are lost. And they don't know what to do. They don't know how to go to school. They don't know how to focus on themselves. They only focus on what other men think about them. That's why they join these gangs. I don't know if this dude is a gang member, but that's the reason why. They need support. They don't have the emotions to support themselves. So they need to be around a whole bunch of men in order to validate who they are.
He stood up in court and said he don't know why he killed my brother. That's what he had to say to us. Because he had no reason to kill my brother. My brother did nothing to him at all. Mm-hmm. It was an envy situation. That's why he killed my brother. He walked up to my brother with a gun. He did not, there's no bumping to nobody. That's not what happened. My brother was so skinny. I mean, Lord, because he was a vegetarian, he was skinny, so he couldn't take that bullet to the chest. And it was a big bullet or whatever. But my brother, when I tell y'all, he wouldn't even cuss in front of me. And I'm only his older sister. He didn't do nothing to nobody. That's what kind of heart he had. He wasn't that type of person. No, but he didn't like what my brother brought. You know what I'm saying? So it was an envy thing. And he knows that. So I know for me, I don't think I don't think he has changed. I still think he needs to grow. He's in jail getting in trouble. He's a blood. He is in a gang. He's a blood. He's in the gang. I have family members, yes. I have family members that's in.
The lawyer just tapped him. The lawyer just tapped his right leg like, yo, do not say anything. Do not say anything. If you say something, you will be in here for the next 100 years. Do not say anything. He can't help himself. Look at his face. Look at his face. He's reverting back to the streets now. Now he's reverting back to the streets because now he feel like he been disrespected by somebody that's not on the board. So now he's gonna revert back to himself. Now he's gonna what you say? His cards is being exposed right here in front of us.
I was there and was telling me all the tickets he was getting. You know, I just feel like if you killed someone and you was 18, he was 21, he didn't get to have kids. He killed him on my daughter's birthday. She just turned 13. She's right here. So we got a call on her birthday that her uncle was just murdered. So every time it's time to celebrate her birthday, we got to think about my brother because that's the day he got murdered. But no reason. Nothing at all.
Nobody.
But like, I just don't feel like he's doing what he needs to do as far as the anger part or just doing what he has to do. You're in jail, you're getting tickets, it ain't stopping. Like, when are you going to stop with your behavior? You took somebody's life for no reason.
Amen.
And we have to live with this every day. Like, knowing, like, people get murdered, right? Things happen in life, but my brother didn't do nothing to him, like, at all. Not one thing. Not one thing. And you just took his life and you just don't even know why. You just did it. It makes no sense.
Crazy.
That's like, they did something to him. He did nothing to you. Not one thing. So I definitely do not want him to come home. I have my mother's here. My mother is here, and my daughter is here, and my family. We is there anything else I'm supposed to say? Because this is overwhelming for us. Like it doesn't even feel like it's been 21 years that my brother's been gone. He didn't get to have kids. This is what we got.
All
this is what we got is obituary. This is my mother got.
That's all I got.
That's it. So, and you get to eat, you get to watch TV, you can do everything you want, and eventually we can't keep you there forever. You gonna come home, right? And you can start a family. My brother didn't get to have kids. I remember my brother turned 21 years old. Yes, he was going to nursing school.
He was going to nursing school. Oh my Lord. This dude is done. They not denying this man. This man gonna get released in 5 years and end up doing another crime. Look at his face. Look at that. Look at the face he has right now. He's upset. He's pissed. He's showing them that he's pissed. Look at his eyes. This is the face that he had when he shot their brother. This is the face right here. Look at it.
One of my friends I grew up with, a childhood friend, took him to New York on his 21st birthday. He was only 21 for like 13 days. He called me in Maryland. He said, "Toya, I went to New York." He was so excited. He went to New York. They brought him. He had a good time, whatever. Like, you took that, like you took that away. Like, he didn't even get to have kids or anything.
Like, it wasn't nothing.
For nothing. Not even for a reason. For nothing.
High up.
And also, I would like to add, I understand I understand about his situation and what's not, but listening to everything you're saying is, because I'm like an empath, I understand, I get it, but at the end of the day, like you took my uncle on my birthday, like you don't understand how hurt I am. Like every day, like every since I turned 13, I could remember that day briefly, like literally briefly, 13 years old, my mom coming to get me from school. Every year after that, I never want to celebrate my birthday. To ask my family, I never want to celebrate it.
Nope.
It's never the same. Like, you gave me a gift from my uncle. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I also want to say, I hope that you really get help because it don't seem.
Whoa, I had to pause it. This is wow. You see how you see when you do stuff to people in anger and you don't make the right decision, you make a bad decision you make a few seconds decision affect people for their whole lives. Why don't people understand that you're not just killing the person, you're destroying the person and everybody around them? That one bullet affects hundreds of people, grandchildren, children, cousins, mothers, fathers, friends. That one bullet, that one bad decision affects so much people. That's why this is emotional, yo. This is it don't matter how much you think you're tough. This could affect you. Hearing this little girl talk, a little girl that got dragged out of school because her father died at the age of 13. Not her father, her uncle. And she still remembered vividly from today. She still remembered every detail today. Think about that.
Change. I try to be empathetic with you because I try to see if you change that you didn't. I want you to go get, if I don't know if the jail, the incarceration has therapy, but you need to get therapy and realize what is causing you to be so angry.
Amen.
Because my uncle, I can understand that you grew up, your parents was on drugs, but my uncle,
I was on drugs.
my grandmother was on drugs.
Yes.
Literally. They didn't have no one but my mother. Like he's been happy.
He's
He
about the
said,
family.
even my other brother and my mom, other brother and aunt, they're nothing like that. They don't choose to go harm people.
Nope.
It's a choice, kind of. It's what you want to do with your life. Like, you got to think about that.
You gotta get the income.
And change. Like, you really have to change. If you want to come into the society, you really have to change because the world's changed now.
I'm telling you, it's crazier.
Mom, you want to say something or no?
Yes.
This is my mom. I'm sorry.
Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Jojo's mother, and I just miss him so much. But young man, I don't think he should get
really address the media. Just talk to the board, Mom.
The board. I don't think he really is sorry what he did for my son. I really don't. But the expression I see in his face that he did. How you gonna kill somebody for nothing and then don't tell us the court that you don't know why you killed him? So he got a problem. He needs a therapy, a psychiatrist, and a therapy. And he don't need to get out until his time is up. Thank you very much.
I just want to say one thing too. What I didn't like is when I'm glad you guys was asking him a lot of questions, but I didn't like the lies. Because if you can't face what you did and you have to lie, because that story, you have to lie about certain stories, that means you didn't change. You're still trying to get around certain things. Just face it. You did it. You don't know why. You don't have a reason. You did it. It's wrong. You took someone
for nothing
at age 21 that had a whole life ahead of him that never hurt nobody a day in his life.
Grandkids, never seen.
And like I said, you can. I don't know if you guys can find out, but you're in there and you're hanging around a lot of gang members, and I heard you are one. So that's not good. What's changing?
Nothing.
Oh, thank you for hearing us.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. At this time, each of the attorneys will be afforded the opportunity to make a statement. We'll begin with State's Attorney Marcella. If you have any comments or statements you'd like to make, you may do so now.
Yes, thank you very much. Once again, Jonathan Pormkella from the Office of the State's Attorney Judicial District of Bridgeport. As I sometimes always say during these hearings, because most times the state gets the opportunity to speak after the victims do, nothing can change how they feel and the sense of loss that they have in what happened to their loved one. We heard from Mr. Benton's mother, sister, and niece today, and the tragedy that they have to relive every day of their lives, but that a birthday was taken from him.
Yeah, this is actually the prosecutor who's talking. Maybe not the prosecutor that actually was part of his case, but he's part of the prosecutor's office, and he's basically doing his closing statement. And from what it sounds like he's in disagreement with him coming out.
And their family, that they no longer celebrate because of a horrible action of Mr. Sullivan when he was 18 years old. Nothing can take away the pain that they suffer every day. We can only hope that through prayer and through living their lives, that maybe hurts a little bit less each day. I don't want to discount what Mr. Sullivan has done during his period of incarceration. He should be commended for the programming that he's completed and the additional programming that he's completed of his own choice. That he obtained his GED, that he did work in the CNA program during his period of incarceration, and he seems to have a good understanding of the challenges related to substance abuse and how he was living his life as a young man, and has taken programs while he's been incarcerated to address the root causes of his substance abuse. And from what I was reading in the DIS that we were provided with, that he does have a good plan if he were to be released, and he will be released at some point, even if he serves the entirety of his sentence. And he should be commended for coming to that realization. But even given that, the Office of the State's Attorney would object to early release for Mr. Sullivan at this time, and that's for a few reasons. As was discussed at length, Mr. Sullivan had 16 tickets during his most recent period of incarceration, and as stated before,
Denied again. Denied again. How are you going to come to the parole board with 16 tickets and 7 of them are violent? You're wasting your time. When you have to prove to a group of people that you have changed, that you're doing good, that you just want to be a free man and you want to live among free people, you have to change inside a prison. You have to avoid all situations. Or you're going to keep ending up in being in situations like this, where people are talking to you like a 7-year-old and you are a 30, 40-year-old man. You're going to wind up in situations like this where you're a grown man begging other grown people to be free. You're going to be in a situation where you have to ask somebody to do everything. Everything. You got to ask somebody to use the bathroom your whole life. You got to ask somebody, yo, can I eat? Instead of just getting up and going to the fridge. You're a slave.
I counted 7, if not 8 tickets that were violent in nature, including in August of 2022, threats to a Department of Corrections officer. Additionally, in September of 2021, an assault, and in July of 2020, ticket for fighting. And those are the most recent tickets for Mr. Sullivan. I will just point out to the board Mr. Sullivan's ages at this time, because as part of a 23-169 hearing, the board is supposed to take in consideration the age of the offender at the time of the offense and that's impact. Well, Mr. Sullivan was a much older man when these most recent tickets occurred. He has developed and received training through program use. He was 35, 36, and 37 years old when those last tickets occurred. He wasn't an 18-year-old boy that was lost.
The prosecutor just made a good point. The man was like I said, he's almost 40 years old. He was 35 and 36 when he made these new ticket infractions. This is a man that's almost at the age of 40. 4-0. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 0. And he's still making bad decisions, and he want to come out to our kids. This man want to come out and be free with our kids. While our kids are trying to get ready and our kids are trying to go to school and go to nursing school and doing great things with their life, he wants to come back out. This guy.
I'm the sister that I'm Monique Benton. My name is DC Monique Benton. I'm the sister that all happened at her house. Yes, she can hear me, right? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay. Jamal. Okay. He's not ready to come out, okay? And it didn't happen no way that he said it, okay? He was sent back around the corner to rob my brother that morning. Robert told him to go get JoJo. He's around the corner. Go get what you owe me. He robbed Robert the night before, and he stole the gun from Scrapper, from Lidak House. Nobody gave him the gun. He stole the gun. They was looking for him and a pair of sneakers.
Oh, so this is the sister who actually know more about the incident. This is the older sister that was around the time when he committed this crime. And she's coming up here telling the truth. She is speaking it. She gonna come out here and tell the facts because she knows him. This guy is not just a random person that came and shot somebody. This guy lived around the neighborhood. Or he said he'd been in Bridgeport for 30 days. Let's see what she got to say.
He left that morning from stealing that from them, and that's how he got the gun. And he break it out there that morning. And Robert told him, Jojo was up top. You better go get my money. He know I know the story, and I think God meant for me to be here because I almost died back in June. And I think he meant for me to be here to tell the story. And my brother gave him somewhere to stay. That's how you was in my house. You wasn't just chilling with my brother. You forgot that he slept in my house, and you went in his jeans when he went upstairs to take a shower, and you robbed him. That's what you did. You robbed him. And then when you seen it was Tiffany Brown, you got real jealous because that was your girlfriend. And you told him you was going to kill him. I was right there on the porch. I'm here. I'm right here. The witness. And he did not deserve that. I can see the way he lifted his ear just now, how long it took me to get out of the phone, rolling his eyes. He knew I was coming to say something. He is not ready, I'm telling you guys. You should have heard him at the sentence. He told the judge, I will rock on. I had to ask somebody what do that mean. I will rock on? He said, I will live on. He's just giving me something to do, to learn, to read books, to learn, time to learn. That's what you said, remember?
Said that during the sentencing? She's saying that he said, I'm going to rock on. I'm going to live on. I don't care. Y'all could sentence me to 30 years, 40 years, 100 years. I'm good. I'll just sit in there and read books. Now, look at him now. Look at him now, crying. He's crying. He's begging. He's pleading to come out. And he only did 21 years. He only did 21 years. You got dudes in there, they already on 70 years, and they've been in there since 17 years old. This dude is in his 30s, and he's been in there 21 years. And for a statement like that, that you make in the courts after you got sentenced, that's not good. That is not, he's very arrogant, and he's very manipulative.
Yeah, you're laughing now. You're laughing. I see you're watching you. I'm watching you.
You can't do that, Monique. You can't talk to him. Do you not understand that part?
Okay, fine. He's not ready. He's smirking. That's so disrespectful. Just like he did at the hearing.
He did that at the hearing. He was smirking, laughing.
Smirking. The same smirk. That was just the same smirk.
Just took my son knife. It's funny.
All right, you finished, Monique, or no?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't fool with her.
But she told too.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will give Attorney Hom an opportunity to make some final remarks.
Good afternoon. This has obviously been a difficult hearing. I will say, I'm sitting here next to Mr. Sullivan. This is an extremely kind, empathetic individual who's committed to changing himself and also committed to helping other people. I want to say, I think Mr. Sullivan did it very earnestly and honestly himself. We want to obviously express our remorse to the victim's family. There is not a day that goes by that Mr. Sullivan doesn't regret the actions of that day. There's not a day that he doesn't think about it and try to come to terms with it and make amends. This is an individual that from the very beginning has taken personal accountability for what he did and has personalized that and attempted to transform his life. We obviously, as Mr. Formicelli indicated, we cannot bring Mr. Benton back. And Mr. Sullivan has attempted to do everything that he possibly could to make himself a better person. Yes, he has had missteps. He has had his share of missteps over the last 20 years. He has had 16 tickets. There was a significant incident where he fought for his life in 2011, and the individual that attacked him had his charges resolved. Mr. Benton took responsibility for his actions. Mr. Sullivan took responsibility for his actions at that time, as he has done with all of his tickets. He's had extended, and he started programming as soon as he possibly was able. When he entered DOC, he immediately pursued his GED. Shortly thereafter, he was encouraged and introduced into getting his nurse's aide certificate. He was a nurse's aide for several years at Corrigan, where he received extensive accolades, and he was responsible for saving an individual's life on the mental health ward. This is an individual who has engaged in just about every single program that DOC has had to offer. And as he shared and stated himself, you can't do that unless you have the support of staff. Yes, he has had some dark times. He has sometimes wondered about his own self-worth. And he is a very emotional person, which can be a good thing and can be a bad thing. But what has he done in the face of each misstep? He's tried to address that misstep. He's taken responsibility for it, tried to address it in a healthy way, and he's attempted to engage in more programming to improve himself. I think
she's doing the best she can. I think that she's doing a good job. She did say his name wrong in the beginning. She called him Mr. She called him basically the wrong name. His name is Mr. Sullivan. She called him the victim's name. But, I mean, she's laying it down pretty right. I mean, she's basically hitting all the points as far as his infractions, as far as his behavior during the time of the incident, as far as his behavior after the incident. She's trying to say that he is doing good. Even though he's making all these mistakes, he's trying to right his wrongs. I mean, she's laying out all the major points and why they're going to deny him today.
I think the most recent incident that occurred in 2022, he was in a heightened emotional state. And, as he shared with Dr. Meisler, and as he shared with you all, what he did immediately after that incident was try to get into more programs to process through what happened so that it wouldn't happen again. This is not an individual who...
You see, the issue with that is when you're a free man on the outside and you're going through an emotional state, let's say, and you don't know how to walk away from things. You don't know how to back down. You don't know how to make grown men decisions in the society that we live today. We don't live in war times. Man has changed. Society has changed. We're not walking around with swords anymore. And fighting for border, fighting for territory. Man has changed. Even the testosterone of man has came down during the years. So men have changed. There's no programs outside if you get emotional. There's no programs. We just can't say, oh man, you hit my car, I'm gonna kill you. Oh, I need to hop in a program first. There's no programs for that. So you have to be able to control yourself. And if you can't control yourself, you can't live amongst people in society. Free people.
Attempts to walk away from something and blame other people. This is somebody who stands up for what he has done and attempts to correct it. And he also has an extensive support network with his family, as well as other individuals in the community who have experienced past incarceration experience. This is somebody who has a plan.
Many people may not know that this EP320 can be legally owned by everyone without a license. It is from Cell. Today, you can get one for only $46 and 3 for just $78.
To come back into the community and given the opportunity to come back into the community through juvenile parole, as opposed to just, returning to the community without supervision. Through this vehicle, he would have the opportunity to be supervised by parole, potentially get support from a halfway house, and also lean into the other protective factors that he has, including, extensive family and support network. Honestly, I see Mr. Sullivan as an excellent candidate for juvenile parole. Yes, he is my client, and I am supposed to advocate for him. But this is an individual who was the product of his society and had a gun, as many young individuals in his community did at that point in time, and had an unfortunate and horrific crime occur as a result. But this is an individual who was barely 18 at the time that this crime happened, immediately took accountability for it, and has been doing what he can over the last 20 years. And yes, 16 tickets is a lot, but he's had extensive periods of time without any tickets. And has he had a ticket since 2022? Has he had a ticket since being denied the pre-screen? Has he had a ticket since being denied the sentence mod? No. Has he continued to engage in programming? He's gone back. He's become a facilitator. He has become a mentor to other individuals. This is an individual who deserves a chance to return to society and be given the opportunity to live in the community under the benefit of parole. And it would be beneficial to him to have that happen sooner rather than later. Because yes, Ms. Berry, as you indicated, right, life is never perfect. Things, you're going to always have challenges. And he deserves the opportunity to be able to do that in society, in the community, with the support of parole, with the support of other family members, and have the opportunity to truly grow in the community. So we would ask the board to consider Mr. Sullivan for juvenile parole.
Thank you. Okay, so at this time, the panel will enter into deliberation. We ask everyone is free to watch. Please don't interrupt us, and we'll come back with our decision shortly. Okay, Ms. Berry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as I stated, and I appreciate the remarks from the victim's family, the state's attorney, and Attorney Holm, there's no doubt in my mind that Mr. Sullivan really does want to do better. He wants to be a better person. And I really do believe that he's remorseful for his actions. I can even understand his difficult upbringing and all the adversities that he was faced with as a child. I understand the difficulty to navigate that life at a very young age. However, given the amount of time that he's been in the facility and his behaviors that he's displayed over the years have been, I'm not going to say consistently increasing, but there is some consistency in the way that he resolves conflict over the years through the fighting and assaults, that same anger.
Public safety concern for me. And as well, the state's attorney, I really appreciate that Mr. Sullivan has done.
He has done
in trying to engage in.
They denied him. They denied him. Look at his face. Face of evil. You got denied, brother. You got 5 more years to go. You should really have 25 more years to go. Society's actually being lenient with you. It's not that many places in the world where you can murder somebody cold blood and do 29 years. It's usually supposed to be life all across the board. It's supposed to be life. If this man was in Florida, 9 times out of 10, he would have got a life sentence. We do not need killers out in our society.
Rehabilitation, positive steps that he's taking. So with that said, I would like to bring it back.
Okay.
I'm open to a discussion of when that occurs.
Okay. I have a question. What's the relationship of the gentleman who keeps appearing on the screen?
Right. No, it's not fun. You don't laugh.
Let me talk. No.
Do you want him to talk?
I don't want to. I just want to know what the relationship is because we know everybody who's appeared.
One
second. That's my son.
I'm her son.
Okay.
That's the sister's son.
I just know the individual. That's all. I was incarcerated with him. He know me. I know him. That's all.
Got it. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's not a good sign when you're reacting to Mr. Sullivan. Why react? You should be learning the tools not to react.
Right. I'm not reacting.
You did. Whether you recognize it or not, we can see everything that happens on the screen.
Right.
If someone provokes you, no, mute yourself, please. All right. Yeah. Okay. This is tough.
It is.
So I would agree that we certainly.
He's combative with the parole staff. He's combative. He's arguing with the parole staff. He's done. Because what they're going to do now, they document everything. So now I think he has no more parole time. So he has to do the 5 years. But if he had to come up for parole again, let's say in another 10 years, what the next parole board will see is the notes that the last parole board that saw him, which is this parole board. And what they would see is, oh, we see a note here that you was argumentative to the last parole board.
We do try to provide supervision and support for anyone who has served a long sentence and is now coming out. I would suggest a 3-year reader.
Yes.
I would support that.
Okay. All right. Reasons for denial, obviously, poor institutional adjustment, injury impacts the victim. We okay with that? All right. 3 years gets us to January 28. All right. The matter of, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Before we do that, I don't want to say, hey, what we're struggling with here is evidence of offender change. So
it is a struggle because in some areas there is change, but then in
right.
very important areas there's not. So yeah, we can add that.
I mean, that's
yeah, it's not enough. I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
I'm sure.
All right. Thank you. In the matter of Jamar Sullivan, amendment number 296869, I'll move to deny parole at this time and rehear the case in January of 2028. The denial is for 3 years. Reasons for denial: poor institutional adjustment, as evidenced by the disciplinary reports, injury and impact to the victim and the victim's family, adequate evidence of offender change. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, well, we're going to give you another shot at this, Mr. Sullivan. We just need to see you do a little more. Please, thank you.
Oh, you see he threw up his deuces? You saw he threw up his deuce? The real him is coming out. The real him is coming out. That's why you don't let these criminals out. Murder equals life. Point blank, period. Murder equals life.
Everyone for your participation. Thank you. Thank you.
Includes a public act.
Thank you.
Yeah. He didn't change. He's showing y'all the real him. He didn't change.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. That was the case of Jamar Sullivan. He is inmate number 296869, and that parole board hearing happened on January the 3rd of 2024. That was in the state of Connecticut. So as you can already tell, his parole has been denied. And what do you guys think? Do you think they made the right decision on this one? Do you think?
Yeah, that was a good show. But anyway, this guy right here, y'all follow him, Prison Audios. I just found him not that long ago. Go over there, like and subscribe, and support. I had to do a reaction to this. I think all these videos are amazing, because we're actually in the prison and we're seeing what's going on and how do these people come back out into our society. Like, what's the process? Like, and who are these people coming back out into our society? And that's why I think these videos are very important, and that's why I'm actually gonna start reacting to a few more of these videos. I really is interested in what's going on with these criminals coming outside, coming back into our society. But anyway, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Crime, politics, and hip hop.
Daddy, why the world is so crazy?